What's up, guys? Welcome to Whiskey. My name is Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and if you stick around to the end, I'll be giving it a score as well. If that sounds interesting, hit subscribe down below. And with that out of the way, let's jump into our review. Today, we're looking at the Kavalan Concertmaster Port Finish. Stick around. Okay, so we're looking at a Kavalan today, which is very fitting because I am based here in Taiwan. I have looked at Kavalans before on the channel. I've looked at some of their soloist releases. Those are more premium single cask releases. They're fantastic whiskeys, but this will be the first time that I've looked at a more affordable offering from them. Now, this is one of their more affordable releases. They do have bottles that are cheaper still, but if I'm not mistaken, those ones are more designed for like cocktails and mixing. But either way, this is definitely one of the more affordable Kavalans out there. This one is no age stated, it's a port finish, and the thing is, I'm not usually a huge fan of port. I do love my sherried whiskeys. I occasionally like a nice wine cask finish. Port, it works sometimes, but oftentimes I get these really sweet, almost cloying berry notes. Reminds me of a cheap wine cooler, so I don't always get along with port. But the only other port I've had from Kavalan was the Soloist release, and that was a pretty sexy whiskey. Thing is, the Soloist is much more premium. It's cask strength, it's single cask. This one is a finish, it's their entry level, it's relatively affordable, at least compared to the Soloist. Now, I don't know what this sells for in your markets. I've heard that even the entry level Kavalans can be really expensive in some places, but we're lucky here. Obviously, they make the stuff in Taiwan. This is relatively affordable. Now, full disclosure, I didn't actually buy this bottle. I actually went to a party a while back, and the guy who was hosting it let me take home the second half of this bottle, which was very kind of him. Now, I had actually had this one before. I tried it before, but it was ages ago. It was a really long time ago, and I had no plans on buying it again. Mostly because of the low ABV, but also because while I did enjoy it previously, it wasn't something that really stood out in my mind. It was a nice whiskey, but not so memorable. But because Kavalan's a pretty new distillery, and because whiskey matures very quickly in Taiwan, we are seeing a lot of evolution from Kavalan. A lot of the whiskeys are very different from where they were even just a few years back, so that might be the case here. So let's jump into our review, see what the whiskey's all about, and in the meantime, if you could kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. So for our specs, this is a 40% ABV, it's probably chill filtered, and I don't believe it's colored. So they're going for an Art Deco look here. I think the bottle's fine. I think the look of this bottle was a little bit tarnished because I first tried this ages ago, and again, I wasn't a huge fan. I thought it was kind of average. So every time I see this bottle, I kind of think it's also average. It's not bad, it's not great, it's just kind of there. Presentation, 3 out of 5. Nothing about color or chill filtration. My bottle is 500 mils. It does say that it's a port cask finish, and that's pretty much all the info we get. Now, like I said earlier, I took this home from a party. I didn't bring the box with me, so I don't know if there's any additional info on the box. But for what we're getting on the bottle, definitely pretty sparse in terms of information, and the look is fine. My mother did not raise me to add water to a 40% whiskey. Let's try our nose. So it is port, it's port forward, but it's more of like a resinous, earthy port than it is those like sweet berry wine cooler type port notes that I don't like. That being said, plenty of sweet berries in here. Lots of jammy notes. I'm getting stuff like blackberry jam, blueberry jam, strawberry jam. There's figs and there's honey. I'm also getting those signature Kavalan tropical notes behind the port influence. So like banana mostly, there's some star fruit in here, some peripheral fruity notes. This is malty. It's actually a really nice nose. Now our palate. Okay. Light texture, unsurprisingly. It's a bit watery. I'm getting port, of course, but once again, it's like a more dark, resinous, earthy port. I'm getting loads of cola notes in here, which is great. There's dark tannins in here, dark chocolate. We have cherry liqueur. There's like a roasted coffee note in here, roasted malt. Darker than expected, but again, very nice. Now our finish. dark chocolate again, cherry liqueur again, cherry liqueur in dark chocolate, roasted coffee, leather polish, malt, vanilla. There's also cola. This is dark and aromatic with some very roasted flavors, which is unexpected. Our finish is actually medium in length, but the intensity definitely suffers from the lower ABV. Man, this would be amazing whiskey if it came in at 46%. Which is something I feel like I say a lot. Like I should get a button for that. I think this would be so much better at 46%. This really should be 46%. A lot of missed potential here. This would be so much better at 46%. Boppity boopity boppity boopity 46%. To be fair though, I keep saying it because it's true. Like, we have a legitimately nice whiskey here, but it's weak. In terms of flavors, the flavors are really nothing like how I remember them being. When I last tried it, which was, again, years ago, I remember this whiskey tasting kind of like, not necessarily boring, but a little bit generic, and nothing really stood out to me. And that's definitely not the case anymore. Now, I'm not saying the modern iteration of this stuff is totally brilliant or anything, but I think if you're someone like me who tried it years ago and kind of dismissed it, didn't really think about it much, thought it was kind of uninteresting, I would urge you to try it again now. Try a newer version of it. The flavors are more robust. We have much less youth in there. It's just a more interesting whiskey overall. Of course, I am going off of memory there, but that's the impression I've got. What I like about this stuff is that it kind of subverts my expectations. Not like that. I mean in a good way. Like, usually when I think of port, I think of like sweet berries, artificial sweetener, cheap wine cooler, those kinds of notes. But here we're getting these dark, resinous, earthy, roasted cola type notes. It's unexpected, but it's interesting. And I also like that our house style is not completely covered up, and that is often a risk with like a heavy cask influence. If you're dealing with sherry or port or even wine, even as a finish, it often overwhelms the base spirit, but that's not the case here. We have those signature Kavalan tropical fruits peeking through behind the cask influence. So I do like this stuff. It goes in a different direction than I expected, and I actually kind of appreciate that. It's legitimately enjoyable. We have some great flavors in here. I think it is one of your better options if you're buying a whiskey at 40%. I don't know why you would, but yeah, within that category, you could do a whole lot worse than this. In fact, this one makes me kind of curious to try some of their other more affordable offerings. It's been ages since I had just like their standard single malt release. I do kind of wonder where that one's at now. I know there's also a sherried finish release out there. I think it's exclusive to the Taiwan market or the Asian market. I think that's also from the Concertmaster line. I'm not sure. I'll put a picture up there, but yeah, I think that one's also mastered concerts. So I do like this stuff. I'm going to give it a solid 85. I think it's fantastic whiskey. Of course, the score would be higher if the ABV was higher, but here we are. I can't say I don't enjoy the flavors in here. It's cask forward, but it's not cask dominated. It's sweet, but it's not too sweet. And I really like the roasted notes in this. So if you want to try a Kavalan, but you don't want to splurge on the Solist, which are like way more expensive, and obviously they are better, this is a pretty good introduction to the house style. Of course, be aware it is on the weaker side, but the quality is undeniably there. I just hope you can get it for a good price. So if this is expensive in your market, and I mean even slightly more expensive than your standard entry-level Scotch, like a standard 10 or 12-year-old, I would say don't go for it. But if it is within that price range and you're interested in trying a Kavalan and you're okay with a lower ABV, yeah, it is worth checking out. You might be interested in the brand but don't want to pay for the premium options. Maybe you just want to sample the house style. This is a nice example of the Kavalan house style. Just don't pay too much for it. It's a light whiskey. Okay, that's it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to help support the channel, please consider becoming a patron. Otherwise, you can like, comment, and subscribe. That is always appreciated. I want to hear from you. Have you tried our Kavalan Solist Port? Not Solist. Concertmaster Port. How much did you pay for it, and do you think it was worth it? Also, down in the comments below, you can let me know what you want to see me review next. I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.